Well, I got my distributor back from Jeff at Advanced Distributors. Thanks, Jeff. And so now it's time to install it. Okay, the next piece to install is this ring that holds on the distributor. And there's only one right way for it to be installed. You can see that there's grooves here in the top of the unit. And you'll see that there's a part, if it's flipped upside down, the surfaces that have the bolts on them will not sit flush. So make sure the surfaces of the bolts are connected through, sit flush, and it goes on just like so. The square should be the side, or actually on mine the square bolt head is on the side, and then the actual, I think it's a half or something like that, is on the aft side of it. And so we'll just finger tighten these down, and then you can put the distributor in. Okay, next, installing the distributor. It'll only go in one way, so make sure that it fits. So on mine, the big half of the donut is towards the front of the vehicle, so I can turn my unit around here and make sure the big half of this donut that matches up is towards the front of the vehicle. Flip it around, and now it should go in like that. It might take a little wiggling once you get it into place, but you should know when it pops down into place how it sits. See, right now, as I can see a little bit of gap down here at the bottom where it's not quite sitting perfectly in there. Now, this vacuum should go towards the back, so I can pop off the cap and then just rotate. Actually, it seems like it's on there. Oh, there it went. It just moved down. So it just kind of moved down by a few millimeters, and that's on. I can put the cap back on. Okay, once you have the distributor seated fully in there, I left these two bolts that are on top of this ring that holds down or holds the distributor in place. I left those loose because there's a lot of play in that ring. So now that I got it seated in there and centered, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to go under here with my 7/16 and tighten them down. And you can pull the distributor off once you get them kind of tightened in place, so they're not going to move on you. You can pop the distributor out, which I'll do right now, and then I'll tighten those down with a ratchet. Okay, now that I got that plate locked down, I'll go ahead and drop the distributor back in. Again, make sure it goes all the way down, and the base of the distributor, the metal will hit the metal of that plate, so you know it's all the way down seated. And you can tighten up this screw a little bit. I'll do that right now. So you don't want to fully tighten it because you still have to adjust the timing. So I'm just gonna give it a couple turns just to make sure it's in place. Make sure I can still turn it slightly. There we go. And I'll leave it like that, and I'll show you how to adjust the static timing. Okay, back over here in the book, has procedures for setting the static timing. So it says to remove the spark plugs, turn the manual adjuster to the center position, and that's the manual adjuster here. I just had my distributor fully serviced and reset by Advanced Distributors, so I'm going to leave that setting alone. Remove the distributor cap, adjust the gap at the points again. I just had mine serviced, so I'm not going to do that step. Turn the crankshaft in the normal direction of rotation, so clockwise, until number one cylinder is on compression stroke. So again, we can go back over to the engine. I'll attach my compression gauge to the number one cylinder through the spark plug hole here, and I'll make sure I'm on the compression stroke for the number one engine. And how I do that is I put the car in gear and I move it forward looking for compression. If I don't get it, I take the car out of gear, I push the car backwards, put the car back in gear, push it forward again looking for compression. Okay, setting the static timing. I've watched the video from John Twist, University Motors, and I'm going to use that procedure to set the static timing because it seems to be pretty dead easy. So what I've done here is I've made sure that I'm on the compression stroke. So I have pressure building up on my pressure gauge, which is in the number one spark plug well. So I know I'm coming up on the compression stroke, and I can see my timing marks down there coming up towards top dead center. And so I'm going to set this at 8 degrees before top dead center. And once I do that, then I will show you the rest of the procedure. Okay, so I've set the car at 8 degrees before top dead center on the number one cylinder on the compression stroke. And I'm just going to pop the top of the distributor off. Okay, now I got my test lead hooked up, so I got this one has the ability to have two different colors, so it'll go green, or I have the black or the negative here on the distributor, and then I got the red lead to a hot source. And so what we're looking for here is this light should go white. Now, with the static timing, according to Twist, you put the distributor back in, the vacuum should be pointing to the aft, and then you just twist it. Twist the whole unit, holding the rotor to the right, holding the rotor to the clockwise direction. And as you twist, you wait for the light to come on. So there the light just came on. And so back it up just a little bit. You want the light to just barely be on and flickering. So you go slightly to the right again. So that we're right on the edge of it being on. And right there. So it just barely came on, and it'll flicker if I just kind of wiggle the rotor a little bit. And so that's where you want it. So you can see I got the white light on, and that should be static timing set with the engine at 8 degrees before top dead center according to the book, and that should set my static timing. Now of course the rotor will be pointing to the number one cylinder, or the number one lead on the spark plug or distributor cap. So I disconnect my lead here, get that out of the way, and then I install my cap that lead is pointing to which one. So it's pointing right here, the one closest to the engine. So that's the one that you'll that's the how you'll put your cap on, and that's how you know where the number 1 lead is. So you'll start from there, and then you rotate in the firing order around. So the number 1, and then the firing order is 153624. So once we know where the number 1 is, 153624, and then we connect them to the spark plug leads. Okay, one of the final parts is to connect the wire. Obviously, is the connection on the back of the distributor. So that's the black with, or white with black striped wire that comes out just below your coil. And then we remember the rotor was pointing to number 1, so we got 1, 3, 5, or 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4, and that's the firing order. So the rotor is pointing to number 1, 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. And now that that's installed, obviously we got to connect the coil up to the top of the distributor cap, and then we'll set our we got our static timing set. We will set our timing at idle, and for that we'll use a timing gun.